Only two weapons can potentially destroy the world, and only two countries have the capability to wield them: hypersonic missiles and laser weapons, wielded by China and the United States. These two global powers have been engaged in a prolonged rivalry, and now they may be on the brink of escalation as the US responds to China's persistent threats. China's threats, or what seem to be threats, are nearly countless, but there has been a surge in recent years. In August 2020, the Chinese People's Liberation Army Rocket Force conducted a series of ballistic missile launches into the northern end of the South China Sea from locations within mainland China, simulating an apparent anti-ship strike. This was just one of many exercises that have been interpreted as warning messages to the US. The US possibly had a clear view of these launches as a US Air Force RC-135 Cobra Ball spy plane flew to the Red Sea when China executed the launches. The missiles launched included the DF-21D and the larger DF-26B ballistic missiles. The DF-21D, a medium-range ballistic missile, has a maximum range between 600 and 1,900 miles, while the DF-26B, an intermediate-range ballistic missile, has a maximum range between 1,800 and 3,500 miles. These ranges are sufficient to strike American ships at sea while staying out of range for retaliatory attacks. Should the US come to the aid of Taiwan when China makes good on its promise to invade the island nation and reclaim it under its control, these ballistic missiles will be crucial. Despite being a formidable force at sea, with the largest ships on the planet and a quarter of all aircraft carriers belonging to the US Navy, the US might not necessarily need to deploy its carriers to defeat such a fleet. Instead, China could launch its ballistic missiles to target American ships. The DF-21D is already known as the carrier killer in Chinese media, and it is a less formidable missile than the DF-26. Both missiles reportedly have warheads capable of reaching hypersonic speeds and maneuvering impressively to evade air defense systems as they approach their targets at sea. The only effective way to stop such missiles probably doesn't exist yet, but the US must change that quickly. Its dominance at sea heavily depends on it. Enter the Meteor project. This project by the US Navy aims to produce a new type of weapon to counter China's threats at sea. This new weapon will be a high-power microwave-directed energy weapon, or HPM weapon for short. An HPM weapon generates bursts of microwave energy capable of disrupting or destroying the electronics inside a target system. The benefits of such a weapon over conventional options are substantial. One such benefit, even over other directed energy weapons like laser weapons, is that an HPM weapon can produce a range of effects from subtle jamming to more destructive capabilities, depending on the situation. This flexibility allows sailors to generate more controlled attacks than with kinetic weapons. Additionally, the wider beam of some HPM systems gives them an advantage over laser beams in quickly engaging multiple targets. Furthermore, their short engagement time makes them well suited for tackling drone swarms. Once powerful enough, this new weapon could become the Navy's preferred response to China's formidable missiles. The beams from an HPM move at the speed of light, making it nearly impossible for China's missiles to outrun or outmaneuver them. They would be enveloped in a cloud of their own smoke before they could detect where the threat is coming from. Like other directed energy weapons, an HPM weapon offers the benefit of a deep, virtually unlimited magazine. Unlike traditional kinetic weapons, HPM weapons do not need to be physically reloaded with ammunition. They can theoretically keep firing as long as they're connected to a power source. Moreover, the low cost per shot of HPM weapons is a game changer. The rise of highly effective offensive weapons at low cost in recent years has prompted a worldwide search for even lower-cost defensive responses. As it stands, the US is forced to counter $1,000 drones with $1 million missiles, a disproportion that cannot be sustained. This discrepancy is even more pronounced at sea, where ships have limited missile stockpiles that cannot be easily replenished until returning to base, which could be thousands of miles away. The clash between the US Navy and Houthi forces in the Red Sea serves as a recent example. The Houthis have been launching anti-ship cruise missiles, aerial kamikaze drones, explosive-laden uncrewed surface vessels, and underwater vehicles at US forces, who have had to respond with far costlier defensive missiles. Thus, when faced with the threats of formidable hypersonic missiles from China and low-cost offensive weapons from anywhere else around the world, the new HPM weapon could prove invaluable for the US Navy. It would not only shoot down incoming threats, but also preserve kinetic air defense missiles for larger, more critical threats. For these reasons and possibly more, the US Navy is intensely focused on building and operating an HPM weapon. The service requested over $9 million for the Meteor program in fiscal year 2025 and $13.5 million the previous year for fiscal year 2024, when the program was still named Red Cat. Whatever the reason for renaming the project remains unknown, but the goal remains the same. However, until this goal of an effective directed energy weapon is achieved, the Navy must make do with the next best thing: ballistic missiles. Ballistic missiles, whether for offense or defense, are a top priority for the world's leading nations, including the United States, which boasts a large arsenal of them. Of all the ballistic missiles in the U.S. arsenal, one stands out for the U.S. Navy: the SM-6. The SM-6, or Standard Missile 6, is a multi-mission missile capable of anti-air warfare, terminal ballistic missile defense, and anti-ship strike roles. It uses a blast fragmentation warhead to engage its targets within the atmosphere. According to U.S. Navy Vice Admiral John Hill, the head of the U.S. Missile Defense Agency, the SM-6 is the only weapon in the country's arsenal at present that offers any ability to knock down highly maneuverable hypersonic threats. Several features make the SM-6 stand out. It combines the solid rocket booster and dual-thrust rocket motors of the SM-3 series, the airframe of the SM-2 series, and the seeker and nose cone of an advanced medium-range air-to-air missile. Thanks to this hybrid nature, the missile is able to stand out from other missiles of the Standard Missile family. For instance, it is the only missile in the family to feature an active seeker for terminal guidance adapted from the advanced medium-range air-to-air missile. The active seeker allows the missile to engage targets beyond the range of shipboard radars, which are limited by power output and the curvature of the Earth. This over-the-horizon intercept capability of the SM-6 is what makes it a key pillar of the Navy's integrated fire control counter-air concept. When integrated with other sensors through networks like the Cooperative Engagement Capability, an SM-6 can conduct engagements beyond the range of any prior air defense interceptor. In 2016, it proved this during a test when an SM-6 set a record for the longest-range anti-air warfare engagement ever in U.S. Navy history. Under the X-ray, the SM-6 is a 1.6-ton missile packing a 140-pound blast fragmentation warhead that detonates using a radar and contact fuse mechanism. Powered by a two-stage propulsion system, the missile can fly to an altitude greater than 110,000 feet, breaking into space and hit speeds up to Mach 3.5, faster than the SR-71, the fastest air-breathing jet in history ever flew. Guided by an inertial guidance combined with terminal active and semi-active radar homing, the SM-6 can strike with precision targets that are up to 230 miles away. With all these capabilities on offer, it's clear that the HPM weapon from Meteor is unlikely to replace the SM-6 in service, but rather complement it. The SM-6 missile and the Meteor HPM weapon are formidable weapons in their own right, but they aren't perfect. Together, they can fill in the gaps for each other, forming a defensive and offensive suite that would protect the U.S. Navy and its ships from whatever weapons are launched at them, irrespective of cost, speed, size, maneuverability, or anything else. For this reason, the U.S. Navy requests that you give this video a like and subscribe to this channel. So do that now, and thanks for watching.